Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 Broodwar versus Starcraft 2 cast. And yes, that was a bit of an extra intro because I'm doing another one of these videos. That is actually a very, very cool mod where someone took all the races of Starcraft 1 and added them into Starcraft 2. And there's a bit of a competitive scene developing around it, so I thought I'd check out some more of these games. The other ones have definitely been interesting. And yeah, we have got Mixu, who I believe is usually a Finnish Zerg, taking on Quanta, who I believe is a Korean player that plays primarily Broodwar, I want to say. Don't quote me on that 100%. But anyway, we've got this cool mode. It's going to be a TVT, but a Broodwar Terran taking on a Starcraft 2 Terran. And that's going to really change up the rules. We've got a very interesting map here with, yeah, mineral walls all over the place. And then Mixu going for an expansion outside of his base. There must be a path inside and outside for that SCV to have got there. I'll have to pay attention to that to see how does an SCV get through this wall or not. And it looks like, yeah, there's a tiny, tiny worker-sized gap. I was wondering, I'm like, wait a second, how did he start that expansion if there's a mineral wall? There must just be a worker-sized gap, which is a very creative way of the map makers to prevent rushes, I suppose. I'm not sure what exactly can fit through there, but it's an easy spot to wall off. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, make sure to go ahead and click that like button. If we can hit 30 likes on this video, that would be amazing. Leave a comment down below if you want to see more of these Broodwar versus Starcraft 2 matches. Or just leave a comment in general, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And then, yeah, subscribe, join the Discord, all that good stuff. We're checking out what we've got going on here. Quanta is just going for an interesting one base play, so a fast racks into a factory. He did, however, produce a Reaper, so that's going to be able to go across the map and potentially harass a little bit, but interestingly enough, it's actually just staying on his side of the map, which I'll say is a little bit odd. Maybe the Broodwar player in him coming out a little bit, because... Or maybe they just can't get through that wall. That's interesting. Maybe they just genuinely can't fit through that tiny, tiny worker-sized gap. I think that may just be the case. I can't attest to that 100%. We do have a proxy starport going up for Quanta. My understanding of these races is that the Broodwar player is gonna have a bit of a disadvantage in the early game defense. So I think it's really cool that we see Mixu going for a double factory play. I mean, that will potentially allow him to make Goliaths, which are probably my favorite unit in StarCraft 2, even though they're not really in StarCraft 2. They're in the campaign, I think, in some co-op mode. Yeah, if Blizzard ever wants to bring those over, I'll be happy with that. So a one-basing Terran against a Broodwar Terran that's now gone for a very fast third command center. The Mixu is getting on a machine shop, which is basically the equivalent of a tech lab, I want to say. That Marine making the classic Broodwar gun sound, shooting down that scouting SCV. Now, of course, Mixu could be a little bit vulnerable here to a potential attack. But yeah, I'm guessing since no units have actually left the base of Quanta yet, that the reason why is that you gotta mine out these minerals before you move out. So a very creative way to prevent rushes. They're even quite a significant wall. So I really do think that Mixu has taken the right approach to this game with going for a super fast third command center. He must really know these maps to get away with this greed, making use of the maps. He's getting out a siege tank, getting out a vulture, getting out spider mine research. So spider mine's very strong ability for vultures. The tank, I think, is going to be really important here. However, I do believe you need to research siege mode for the tank, so we'll have to see that eventually get researched. You may need a well, he's got a machine shop. He's getting out another one. We'll see when he's going to start that tank research. Quanta, though, is quite behind on the economy. On only 26 workers, he is gearing up for what looks like an attack, but I'm not sure it's going to succeed because, I mean, there's already a tank out. There isn't any siege mode research for it yet, but oh my gosh, I completely missed this. You guys were probably screaming at your screen as for the past 45 seconds, somehow I missed that it's a Battlecruiser rush from Quanta. I was just off in LaughNgamez looking at mineral walls. We do have Mixu actually going for a comsat station. That's not a turret, unfortunately. So Mixu is going to be incredibly down on anti-air. He's making 3 siege tanks at a time. He's going to need lots of Goliaths to deal with this Battlecruiser. This StarCraft 2 Battlecruiser, which is no joke. And all of a sudden, Mixu's greed is going to be getting punished heavily. He may actually just die to this. He's going to have to run all these SCVs away, start frantically making Goliaths, I imagine, to deal with this. He's like, oh, I guess my tanks can't really deal with that now, can they? So he's got 6 siege tanks out, which is no small amount. He's getting siege mode research. The tanks will at least defend against what's on the ground, but there we see triple Goliath production starting. How much damage will he take before this Battlecruiser gets taken down? Funnily enough, it's a StarCraft 2 Battlecruiser that looks like, I don't know if that's a StarCraft 2 or a Broodwar skin, but yeah, these tanks, they're running away. Mixu does have quite an economic lead to burn, though, because of this fast 3rd command center. Quanta is actually dropping mules in order to get through this mineral wall, but it's not going to be that easy because it takes multiple trips to get through. I don't think he targeted those properly. He could have made at least a small hole to get through. Viking or Goliaths are now out to start shooting, but they desperately need a repair. Mixu is not repairing. He repairs too late on a couple of those Goliaths, so the Battlecruiser actually kills them off. So the 3 Goliaths died. Another 3 did just pop out. They may be able to deal with this. This is a StarCraft 2 Battlecruiser, though, so it can be teleported out. Does Quanta know about that ability? Looks like he does, and it just barely makes it out of there. So big damage was dealt by Quanta utilizing that. However, Mixu, just through pure macro, he was able to hold on. Quanta's attack didn't quite come together, seeing as how there is that wall. There's no siege mode out, so these tanks can keep the Red Terran at bay. But a very cool move by Quanta. And now another Battlecruiser comes on in. There is 1 turret in the mineral line. Goliaths will be moving on out. They've got their Charon boosters. I don't exactly know what that upgrade does. Can I hover over that? No, it's actually not going to tell me. I believe it allows them to shoot on the ground while shooting in the air, but it's been a while since I played Broodwar, so don't quote me on that. Mixu's going to be moving out on the map. He's got just regular old siege tanks fighting Cyclones. They're not really sieged. He needed to do more of a stutter step. The tanks, they dealt a lot of damage to that one Cyclone, but they are outgunned. Vikings are coming to help. Vikings against Cyclones, kind of their StarCraft 2 counterpart. And Vikings are darn cool. We're seeing just this Battlecruiser. It went out. It's now going to go back in. There has been a turret built to help deal with this, but you need more than 1 turret to deal with 1 Battlecruiser, whether it's a Broodwar turret or not. Quanta is, or Mixu is just continuing on with his macro. We've got a turret building at this location. It is going to get up to actually help deal with that BC, but he's still going to have to micro very well. Tries to repair that turret. It wasn't enough. You definitely need more than 1 turret to deal with Battlecruisers. One of those BCs is very injured, though, so we'll see if it goes down or not. However, Mixu's really being pulled apart by the multitasking of Quanta. Now in come the Cyclones. Is there any tanks? There is 1 tank siege with a couple of Goliaths there to help buffer, but the tanks fire so slow. They are Broodwar siege tanks. Look at that big damage it does, but it fires much slower than the lesser damaging StarCraft 2 siege tank. Mixu finally falls behind in workers of Quanta, so Quanta's harassment pays off. We're seeing even more of those workers die. Another turret was built, but it wasn't behind the mineral line. I mean, Mixu, he definitely needs some anti-air in his mineral line. Goliaths are moving out there, but yeah, I think 2 or 3 turrets would definitely do the job. It's StarCraft 2. You got to spam those down if you can afford it. And Mixu could have afforded it, but now he's in a bit of a bind economically. He's lost a whopping 42 SCVs this game. We do have a 3rd command center now landing for Quanta. He can also drop his mules all over the place, being the StarCraft 2 player. So he's got a good economy compared to his opponent. Mixu has yet to get up a 4th base, despite his incredibly fast 3rd base timing. I think maybe Mixu's like, wait a second, you probably built that on the high ground, didn't you? These Broodwar maps sure are a little bit funny, as I don't even know how he got it up there. Did he build it on the low ground, then floated up there, or is there a ramp? I think he must have built it on the low ground, then floated it up there. The battle cruisers are actually just going to bypass this. A scan goes down from Quanta, seeing that this position is vulnerable. Notably, no Yamato cannon was researched for Quanta, but he's still going to get on in here and surprise his opponent. One Goliath can help zone out these battle cruisers, bait them into the turrets potentially. They are just doing a drive-by. 6 more SCVs die. We did see a scan go down to reveal this location, but the tank can't really shoot that when it's on the high ground. We've got a battle cruiser now on the left side. The economy of Mixu has just been getting hammered. The BCs are in the main base once again, but they can just teleport out. You got to keep making workers, Mixu. You got to really tighten this up a little bit. I mean, 2 or 3 turrets would have held this battle cruiser at bay. Instead, he kind of built one way too close to the command center, I think. Goliaths, I mean, they're better in the Starcraft 2 engine by far, but they are still a little bit janky. It looks like we may actually see that battle cruiser go down. The high attack with the +1 attack with their upgrade really makes the Goliaths deal extra damage. But yeah, it's still a rough position for Mixu to be in, as Quanta is on 72 workers. He'll probably take a 4th base soon. I just love the fact that this is a match of someone who I believe is primarily a Broodwar player playing StarCraft 2 Terran against someone who's primarily a StarCraft 2 Zerg playing Broodwar Terran. So it's really interesting. We do see a scan as Mixu is going to try and kill off this starport that's caused him so much grief, but he doesn't actually manage to do that. He's tossing down spider mines. Attempted Hellion harassment gets shut down. Another scan gets dropped. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to actually kill off this starport. We'll see. That could be the 3rd scan that gets utilized, but then again, it's not like Mixu can drop mules with this ComSat station. They are for scanning. They are not for dropping mules for the Broodwar Terran, so he really is behind even more in economy when you take those mules into account. Siege tank production is resuming. Mixu's mech force is still pretty strong and very interesting. Tanks are being produced for Quanta to counter this. Hellions are still being sent out for run-bys, and there is nothing to defend at this natural, at the main base, even at the 3rd base. We do see Mixu repositioning, though. Looks like a couple spider mines actually did catch all but one of those Hellions, so those are doing their job. A scan gets utilized. The Hellion gonna back on out there, tuck itself in the corner, and stay alive for now. Although that may be short-lived, as it is indeed seen. So eventually, Mixu should deal with that. Oh, the Hellion, though, does duck in the corner, but it did get seen at the last second. A battlecruiser hit squad is moving towards the left-hand side of the map. There is nothing to fight against this, so we could even see a base go down as the Goliaths are really out of position. So Mixu may just be pressured to go for a big attack. There is presently 3, but now 7 siege tanks moving to the front for Quanta, so I don't think Mixu can make an attack happen, and he wisely realizes that, dropping a scan, like, yeah, you can't push into that, but now we're going to see this command center potentially die. The SCVs ran away. They're not there to repair it. It's going to float, and it's going to get repaired. The battle cruisers, they can shoot while moving, though, and so in come the Goliaths trying to be heroes. I mean, the command centers... It is staying alive for now, as Goliaths are fighting the BCs. They're going to teleport on out of there. Goliath's anti-air is pretty amazing. That's one of the things that makes me really like them as a unit. And we do see that command center get repaired. Mixu is getting up a 4th base. He has been producing lots of units, so his supply isn't looking too bad. But as far as breaking a tank line, it's not very easily doable. And the map, I think, has got to be one of the most interesting parts of this game. Like, Broodwar has such interesting maps. This is fully a Broodwar map. This is not a StarCraft 2 map. And it has, I believe, been produced or modified with this mod in mind, so that makes it even more cool. Both these players are still building up an army, though. It's mass tanks against lots of Goliaths and siege tanks for Mixu. But that's the thing about TVT. It's really difficult to attack on in when it's mech versus mech, because tanks just zone you out. Like, to break this position, it's not going to be easy. This seems like suicide for Mixu, but he's darn sure going to try. Goliaths are walking on top of the tanks. He sieges up all his own siege tanks, and he's moving forward. Most of the Goliaths have died, though, and that was the anti-air, basically an entirety for Mixu that went down. What a suicidal attack. He's got these tanks, they can keep shelling away, but where are the battle cruisers? There they are, and all of a sudden Mixu has to pack up and go on home. So that attack was a bit of a folly. It's just so... He broke a lot of the tanks, but then losing the Goliaths really did him in. He's got out another 8 Goliaths, though, so that should be enough to deal with the battle cruisers. However, Mixu says, right, or Quanta, pardon me, says you threw away a lot of stuff. I'm gonna come and kill you. We've got a dropship, but it gets Yamato cannon, so that is really painful. Goliath's on the ground, gonna deal with the Battlecruisers. Tanks shelling away, but they're not actually that good at dealing with the Hellbats that are walking forward. The tanks do get dealt with. The Goliaths are trying to push back the Battlecruisers. Looks like one of them will finally die, but then in comes a lot more tanks for Quanta. Mixu, he tried his best. He went for a Hail Mary attack, but maybe being a little uncomfortable with the matchup. I think Quanta has been able to secure the kill. It's not like Mixu has his own Battlecruisers to counter the ones of Quanta. I'm not even sure a Broodwar BC would stand up remotely to a Starcraft 2 BC. The teleport and Yamato cannon really would change that dynamic. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this game as much as I did, click that like button. I mean, it's 170 supply against 90. The Goliaths are doing well, but yeah, I think it's when your opponent's moving in with tanks like this, it's not a good spot. We did see that base die. The tanks are sieging up in the back now. There's no way that's going to be it. GG. Quanta takes the game. I believe he is quite a regular in these cups, so well done to him. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this one, do hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you watched all the way to the end of this video and you're not a subscriber. You can become a YouTube member if you want to support the channel. I think I enjoyed this game more than one of the previous ones I cast, and it really was entertaining. The possibilities of like having an extra 3 races in StarCraft 2, they fit very well because they're the same but different. It really gives quite a bit of variety, which I think is awesome. And well done to the mod makers. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for tuning on in.